During a recent press conference, congressional Republicans investigating President Biden and his son Hunter were publicly humiliated when they were forced to repeatedly concede that they still had no proof of the president's alleged malfeasance. Intrigued? Then click that like and subscribe and enjoy the video. Alright folks, this is hilarious. This is one of the great events that occurred while I was out of state and unable to comment on it except furiously on Twitter. But congressional Republicans, specifically the Republicans of the House Oversight Committee, led by a Republican from Kentucky named James Comer, teased, and have been teasing for some time, that they've got the goods, the smoking gun, on against President Joe Biden, their primary target of the repeated Hunter Biden and Biden crime family investigations. They've been teasing it out. They've been forecasting it. Oh, we've got the goods now. We got them, guys. We got them. They caught their white whale, except not really. They held a press conference which was supposed to unveil the fruits of their ongoing investigation, and they hyped it up, and like many people who overhype things, they fell flat on their face. They were publicly humiliated in a single press conference and by a confession from a Senate Republican colleague in the aftermath. We've got several clips to play. We're going to try to get through them real quick, but it is truly profoundly embarrassing. So let's dive into it.
The Bidens have received millions of dollars from China. It is inconceivable that the president did not know it. The White
So that's the first one. Again, James Comer is he's casting a wide net against, the alleged Biden crime family. And he says he's bringing the receipts against Hunter Biden, against President Biden's brothers and siblings and things like that. But when it comes to the president himself, the one who's actually in power, the one who's actually involved with government, he doesn't offer any proof. He just says it's inconceivable. There's just no way that Joe Biden knew anything about it. But let's take a look at some more clips. Again, it's phenomenal stuff. Here's another one.
But are you going to be able to prove the central thesis that President Biden was directly involved with corruption without getting bank records for either President Biden, James Biden, Hunter Biden, showing the transfer of money or the payments of expenses that President Biden should have picked up himself? And secondly, on the FBI informant file, are you going to be able to provide us any more information today on that, such as which country it pertains to? And is there any evidence that President Biden has offshore bank accounts?
Excuse me, sir, are you going to be able to actually prove your claim that President Biden, again, the guy who's actually in power, did something wrong, and also the alleged FBI whistleblower who you say has the real damning evidence? Are you going to provide any details, like who he is, what foreign national President Biden was allegedly engaged with? Like, are you just going to, can you give us anything? Maybe, possibly?
Well, first of all, with respect to President Biden, I don't think anyone in America who's watching C-SPAN or any other network that's covering this would think that it's just a coincidence that 9 Biden family members have received money for this influence peddling scheme. I mean, what as Representative Jordan and the other speakers said, what business is there? You know, the media has always said two things. First of all, the media have said, many in the media have said that no transactions happened while Joe Biden was vice president. We've proven that wrong. Joe Biden said during 2020 that his family never took any money from China. Today, we've proven that wrong, and you have it in your memorandum, the bank transfers. So we believe that the president has been involved in this from the very beginning, obviously. We're going to continue to look. There are, what we've cited today and what we're updating you with today, 4 banks. Those result from 4 banks. We believe there are 12 banks. So right now, you could say that we're in the beginning stages of this investigation, but many of you...
We believe Biden was involved. There's no way. Nobody could believe that the president wasn't involved. He has to be involved. We believe he's involved. We're in the beginning. We're still in the beginning. Yeah. But wait! There's more.
And we can tell you from the people that we're meeting with that were involved with many of the schemes that we're pretty confident that the president was very knowledgeable of what his family was doing. You've seen pictures with these people. You've seen meetings. You've seen instances where the president took his son on trips during the last year of his vice presidency. And
we're confident. We believe that the president was knowledgeable. We have no proof of it. We can't offer you anything, but we believe that he was very knowledgeable. And by the way, he took him on trips. Embarrassing. There's still more. We still got to get through this.
It sounds like you all are still trying to prove President Biden's direct involvement here. And you spoke a little bit, I know Congressman Donald spoke a little bit about the policy aspect of it. If you could just speak more to the policy aspect of it, because how can you discount maybe Hunter Biden just, used his father's name to get this money without any direct involvement from President Biden himself? Can you just speak a little bit to your investigation?
It would be hard for me to believe that Hunter Biden was so charismatic that he could convince foreign nationals to wire millions of dollars into not just his account, but 8 of his family members' account. We believe that there was a return on the investment.
It sounds like you all...
So there Comer was asked, hey, you're making allegations that President Biden was effectively bribed when he was vice president, which, by the way, is vice president. Lots of informal power, but no real, actual executive power. They have no constitutional power to issue commands. They simply have to have a pulse and basically be on standby. So if something happens to the president, then they assume executive command. But the reporter's like, well, point to me a policy. What changed as a result of this alleged bribery? And instead, Comer doesn't mention anything. He just says, we believe that there was a return on investment. We believe that. And also, I find it hard to believe that Hunter Biden was just a Nepo baby, that he just engaged in nepotism. I mean, my God, is he that charismatic? Well, no, but neither are President Trump's kids, right? So by that logic, Donald Trump must have been involved with nepotism and influence peddling with his children, right? Of course, Comer won't admit to that, would never concede to that. But the last piece of damning evidence in this respect is this. Actually comes from Senator Ron Johnson, so a Republican in a separate chamber, who was asked to comment on this. And he also kind of gives the game away publicly if those clips alone don't do it for you. So let's see what Senator Johnson has to say.
Walked us through this web of LLCs that the Biden family created. And money came from China and other adversarial countries, by the way, not just China. Yeah. But going into these LLCs, and then from there, the money went from the LLCs to various Biden family members. What can you tell us about that? What were they getting paid for?
Well, again, on the bank records, you're not going to see bribe to change this policy. You have to infer what's happening here. You have to take a look at the bulk of the evidence. You have to follow the money and realize, well, so what did this Biden family member do to earn that amount of money? I mean, that's what we did with Hunter Biden in Ukraine. I mean, what did he know about oil and gas to be on the board of Burisma and knock down about $4 million over the course of a number of years when his father was the point person in Ukraine? You know, that corrupt system. So again, you have to infer these things. You're not going to get necessarily hard proof, but there's such a huge body of evidence. We had it in September 2020. It was all ignored. It was all denigrated. It was all called Russian disinformation. It's the same playbook of the Democrats, the same playbook of the media that wants to prop up and cover up for the Bidens.
So what?
So there you have it, folks. Again, the Republicans gave it away here. They have been pursuing Hunter Biden with the ultimate goal of chasing Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden is obviously the end target of all this. They don't care about Hunter Biden himself. He's a means to an end. They've been investigating Hunter Biden since at least Senate, congressional Republicans, political actors, since at least 2019. And under Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson, that particular guy, in 2019, 2020, they were forced to conclude that while Hunter Biden was probably nepotistic and traded in on his father's name, they had no evidence, number one, of any crimes committed by Hunter Biden, let alone Joe Biden, right, the one who actually matters. And it's the same thing here, right? There's no denying that Hunter Biden himself, the son, has a sketchy past, right? He... and also profoundly troubled, right? He was a drug addict. He certainly, I mean, he had a $1 million tax liability that he had to pay for. He's been under investigation by the Department of Justice. This is a man who is profoundly troubled and may very well have committed crimes, in which case he should be charged. And if he's charged and prosecuted and successfully convicted, he should be punished according to the law. We on the left, we Democrats don't care, right? And the reason we don't care, it's pretty simple. Hunter Biden is not involved in the government. Hunter Biden has never had a position in the Obama administration or the Biden administration. This is a key, profound difference, which separates Hunter Biden and Joe Biden from the Trump family, because Ivanka, Trump's daughter, and Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, married to Trump's daughter, had formal positions in the Trump administration. They were members of government, which means they deserve infinitely more scrutiny and infinitely more criticism and should be investigated exhaustively compared to Hunter Biden, who is a civilian, right? So we also know that Jared Kushner received a $2 billion chunk of change from Saudi Arabia and the UAE the day after the Trump administration ended, the day after he left office. And he was the point man, to borrow Ron Johnson's expression, for Donald Trump, on behalf of Donald Trump to Saudi Arabia and the UAE. So there's infinitely more evidence of more pertinent, more damaging corruption by the Trump family. But Republicans don't care, right? Because the standard changes. They will sweep the corruption of Republican-affiliated government actors under the rug to target a civilian who's never had a position in government but happens to be a relative of a prominent Democrat. They clearly don't have the goods, and they're saying it. Well, listen, it's inconceivable. We believe. You have to infer. You're probably not going to necessarily find hard proof. This gives the game away. This is a joke. This should be regarded as a joke. And people who say otherwise are just being dishonest. And Republicans, particularly Republican leaders, should be mocked for this gigantic waste of time and taxpayer dollars.